I could just record real quick and then also letting the room fill up. I'm going to be super, super quick about this meeting today. Just a few points as we kind of get to the tail end of things. So I wanted to just let you guys know I've been inboxing everyone, letting them know that we're having a launch soon. I anticipate that we'll be ready to launch next week. I got the final development back today. Everything is correct. So we're in the midst of beginning our audit. I expect that to take the better part of the next couple of days. Everything after the audit is complete is really just us testing the mass inboxing and mass adding system, and then possibly doing a few other things on the marketing side. Of course, contacting influencers, but from the development side, everything is done. So that's super, super exciting to see that, we've finished things out. We've gotten everything basically ready to go. And, we're ready to kind of move on to the next part. So I anticipate that, by Friday, we'll have a lot more direction on what those dates will be in terms of us launching next week. I'm hoping to start by the first of the week. I think that we'll probably start like the reinvigoration of the existing group by Monday of next week. From there, we will end up essentially, waiting and trying to figure out when the best date is for us to start adding the next people. But other than that, we're basically ready to start launching. So, what I'm going to do is continue reaching out to everyone, continue trying to get everyone essentially like set up and ready to do what they need to do from like a job standpoint, whether that's moderation, development, anything like that. And then from there, we will all be focused on getting out this first part. And then once we've finished the first part, Ian and I have met. I will be meeting with Mr. Crypto relatively shortly. So what will end up happening is we will have a full operations plan at the same time as we have our first contract that's producing budget, right? And that's literally what we're trying to do is make sure that we're, handling the budget, getting everything correct, and that when the budget is finished, which it's literally 95% finished, we're waiting on one check from Ian's side. But it's important for us to get that check done so we can make sure that everything is good. But, we're going to essentially have a very nice business set up in terms of business development. And then we will also have the income to be, actually executing on this vision with the actual funds that we've put aside that we figured out that we need. So that's the biggest reason why we've been doing all of these different things in sequence and at the same time. And I'm super excited to see how all of it turns out. So yeah, that's really basically it. I will be in contact with everybody to make sure that we are working to where we need to work to and doing what we need to do and getting ready for this launch, because that's the most important thing to me, is that we get this launch right, that we're continuing to create income for the company, and that eventually this income can be used to create more of the tokens and anything else that needs to be done so that we can create even more income. So I won't keep you guys any longer than this unless you have any questions. I think just Ken today. So Ken, do you have any questions for me?
Well, hi, Doc.
Hey Ken,
Like
how are you,
people are
man?
not. I'm good. I'm good. Looks like people are not in the meeting today. But you are launching the game next week, right?
I
So if
think
I
you're
find
breaking
money
up.
for the
You're
game,
breaking up just a little bit.
I think it's my network. My network is not stable. My internet is not stable. So you are launching the play to earn. Basically. Is it running on BSC?
Do we plan on launching on BSC? Is that what you're saying?
sure I understood.
Yeah, so we're going to launch on Binance. The original profile and everything was on BSC. So we will be um, essentially, using the Binance chain to launch everything. I have been talking with the developers about coming up with a cross chain version on AVAX and a few other chains. But yeah, I think that we're going to definitely be working with, we're going to be working hard and getting all of this stuff together on BSC first, and then, continue to move from there. So yeah,
Yeah, that's good. We look at operations. Operations looks like it's a little bit sluggish. We have a lot of things to do in operations. How far will we have reached by now in terms of operations?
that's a good question. So I think operations is. I was having this conversation with Ian yesterday, and first of all, I saw you saying you listened to the meeting. Thank you so much for listening and giving your opinions and giving your feedback for sure. I always appreciate it because I know we're all working hard and we're all trying to get where we need to go on this project. So I do appreciate that. For operations, right now, you have myself, you have Mr. Crypto, you have Ian, right? So Ian, in his day-to-day job, he calculates risk and it deals with a lot of finances. So Ian's primarily basically here to help us do the same thing from a crypto perspective. Like look at how much funds that we have, look at the risk involved in the funds, and to understand exactly where we're going to be spending money and why we're going to be spending money. Mr. Crypto is going to take over operations and be running operations. You and him will be kind of helping coordinate day-to-day operations. And myself, I'll be helping to like coordinate the vision and make sure that like everything is happening as it's supposed to in sequence. So right now for operations, the biggest thing was getting the operational budget. And the reason for that is because without having full team coordination, so like marketing coordination, development coordination, etc., it's impossible to have the operations team working on a full schedule of like handing things to the mod team, handing things to the marketing team, handing things to the development team, so on and so forth. So right now, our most important thing is scoping out the budget, planning the business plan, getting the SOPs and everything together. And I think we've done a good job there. And the other thing is getting the other departments active. So right now, we're having weekly departmental meetings. I foresee those to continue. And then I'm also reaching out to everyone and making sure that they're going to be back in these meetings like starting next week. So for the most part, I think that operations is going to more begin in the next week or two as like the community is more active, as we have people handling the Twitter, as we're doing marketing, all of those different things. Operations will start looking more of like, okay, once we have the budget, what's the timeline of when we can launch. Operations will also handle getting in contact with certain launch pads and certain partnerships to kind of help like push things forward. So I know that there's been a lot of like coordination on marketing and development, and operations seems like it's slow. But that's kind of the reason, is because we need to get the rest of the business at least running in some capacity so that there can be something for people to manage the operations of, right?
Okay, that sounds like a good plan. Now, another question I may be interested. This game you play, you get rewarded in BNB or in which kind of token aspect? Because eventually someone plays the game, you get a reward, and calculate his or her income. How is that going to work actually? Get me in the loop.
That's a good question. So the first contract that we're releasing is purely BNB based, right? Like, and there's a reason for this. We could have put out a contract where we're essentially like taking BNB for tokens, right? Or like a pre-sale contract. The problem with most pre-sale contracts is that number one, the team doesn't have enough resources to fill them. But number two is a lot of these ideas don't seem to work out. And talking with Ian, we've done a few projects together. The biggest thing that most projects end up running into is like they have a certain plan, they don't execute the plan properly, and then they run out of resources and funding to basically continue. So the project dies. And then what ends up happening is most of the budget that came from the original pre-sale is lost, right? So no one ends up getting their money back. So the reason why we created the first contract in BNB is because in our contract, you'll deposit BNB into the contract, right? You'll be able to earn a 3% daily yield off of this BNB that you deposit, and you'll also be able to compound and essentially like increase the amount of income that you're having daily off of this BNB. As you're compounding and increasing your position in the perpetual presale contract, you're also earning tokens, right? So instead of essentially swapping your BNB for tokens and taking that one-on-one risk, now you can essentially have a contract to where you can put BNB in, and then if you're patient, 6 months, 9 months, you can ROI on your BNB. That's number one, right? So now you've broken even, whether you got tokens and the tokens are worth a lot or they're worth nothing, you got your money back. So it was basically a net investment. Number two is that continues, right? So now every single dollar that you make past you getting your money back is income, right? So you have an actual source of passive income where you can come in, get BNB, up to 3 BNB a day, and essentially like earn up to 90 BNB per month just in passive income, right? And depending on the price of BNB, that's a lot of money that you're earning. If BNB was $1,000, it'd be almost $1 million in USC or USDC that everyone could be earning if the contract gets large enough, right? Number three is on top of all that, you're getting the actual tokens for the token ecosystem back into your wallet so we can continue to develop the ecosystem. So the reason why we started with this contract is because it helps us build a user base. It gives people an disproportionate amount of value in terms of like asking them to contribute funds to the project, right? 92% of the funds that are contributed to the first project stay inside of the project, and the team only takes 8% to essentially fund its other endeavors. So because we're giving back to the community and allowing them and fixing a lot of the problems in all of the minor contracts, right? At the same time, not only are we doing all of those other things, but the contracts for minors are inherently unfair, right? Like, because when you go into a minor contract, what you're essentially doing is spending BNB to buy BNB producing assets, whether they're crops or farmers or whatever they're called. You're spending your BNB to buy these producing assets. At the beginning of the contract, when the price is up, the price is always affected by how much value is inside of the contract. So if the value in the contract is fluctuating, so is the price of those assets. So naturally, the people who come in at the beginning get the lowest price, so they earn the most BNB, right? And the way that I describe that, you can inherently see that there's an issue there, because if you come in later, right, you come in 2 weeks later, and there's millions of dollars locked inside this contract, you'll never be able to have the same buying power as someone who came in at the beginning, right? And that's the biggest problem with minor contracts, is that they're unfair. We fixed that issue in a number of ways, right? We've limited the amount of money that someone can actually pull out of the contract. So even if they're earning, more than everybody else, all of those dollars will end up essentially getting recycled back into the contract for everybody else, instead of them being able to take the lion's share off the table. So it's fair in terms of how much it pays out. Number two is we implemented instead of the compound bonuses that everyone ends up earning because of the compound count that you have to hit, we put in a daily time decay. So over time, instead of the price of these assets going up, it actually decays by a tenth of a percentage point per day, which means that over time, you actually get a better deal if you buy into the contract later than if you buy into the contract earlier. And this is the first, or really the second minor contract to do this, but the first with all of these additional features. So no one's ever done this before. It's never been a fair contract before. And we did this because we wanted to not only be able to raise value for our community, but like all of our projects are about fixing the issues that we see in existing projects and existing verticals in the space, while we're essentially doing what we're doing to help build our ecosystem, which we believe will like eventually be a massive lending protocol like Aave, like Compound, right? Like Uniswap, or like various other lending protocols, right? So that's the reason why we started with a BNB type contract. Once we have the BNB contract out and we've grown the BNB contract and we're continuing to move forward, we may release some AVAX and Phantom versions of all of the contracts, but the main token asset, right, which is already created, all of the tokens are already created, the DApp already works. We could add liquidity to the DApp right now and it would start working, right? All of that is going to basically be denominated off of BNB. So that's the way that we've kind of set everything up. The reason why we started with that contract is because, we're working on the numbers, but it's really more as just as important to be able to match those numbers with the budget almost immediately, right? So that's the reason why we kind of took the operations team stayed on the original path, and the marketing team and the communities team took kind of a left turn so that we can get more activity in the groups and give people more stuff to do as well. I know that was really long-winded, so hopefully that made sense.
It made a lot of sense, actually. I understand it better now than before. Some things are better explained by the creator than that's good.
I'm glad. I'm happy to explain whatever you guys want to know. I think that for me, because I've spent a long time thinking about this, it's a lot of I've resolved a lot of this stuff inside of my own personal head. But it was a long think, right? So I know that a lot of people are still trying to see exactly what the angle is, and I'm sure that you guys understand it, but also I like to ask those specific questions that you guys have. So I'm happy to answer. I'm glad that it gave you more clarity, because that's really at the end of the day, not only do I want to give everybody more clarity on what we're doing, but just on kind of how DeFi works in general and the DeFi space. So yeah, man, that's kind of the plan there. I think we're close to being able to do that, and I'm excited to see where we go with it, because we've been working a long time on it. So we're kind of what we're preparing to get done. Mr. Crypto, what's up, man?
Hello, dude. Just managed to join the meeting. Just so many things. Yes, no, it's great to hear you again. How have you been after the things with the family? How are you keeping up with everything?
Yeah, man. Thank you guys so much. Y'all have been amazing, support during that whole time. Things are going well. We're back to kind of our normal. I've been just working on, I was telling Ken, on kind of the pre-sale contract, or the funding contract. And then also coordinating with Ian, talking with Ian more about when we could all meet to get the budget done. So that, we're ready to essentially meet in the middle on those two things. When we need budget, we have budget, and then we can continue on. And then the other side of it was just preparing the marketing team, getting all of the costs broken out for the marketing. So at this point, we have all of our influencers, all of our call groups, the cost for the group ads and all of the tools. So all of that is basically scoped out and done. I'm waiting for one developer to activate the program that does tracks all of the likes and the conversation and the AMAs and distributes the tokens. So that's kind of my focus this week, is auditing the pre-sale miner contract and turning on that system. And then starting next week, what I'd like to do as Ian meet about operational budgets and other things is start bringing back the original investors from the Guff group to kind of start registering with that system, because that system will basically allow us to airdrop everybody their tokens, not directly to their wallet, but it'll allow us to basically give them an account where they can check their balance, right? And there's a placeholder value there. And then based off of that, kind of undergoing in the next week, 2 weeks, however long it takes for us to get that group back normalized and going, then we can kind of break things down and put the pre-sale contract out. And at that point, we're just waiting on us to finalize budget, and then for us to finalize the budget of like the larger marketing plan, depending on how this like first trial run goes. I guess that makes sense.
Does make sense, yes, and I think this would be really good times to catch up, so I can actually work on these numbers, because I haven't done anything for a while, and there's many different reasons behind. We all
Yeah.
sort of like step back a little bit, and not all the numbers were in place. But if you have all the numbers now closer, I think it's a good time for me actually. Getting all the numbers from you, start filling up, and then we can actually do something. But I think the biggest challenge we have is the time zones, because I'm already in the bed when you do the meetings, and that's the biggest challenge we had so far.
I know, man. And I know you value your sleep, and I'm trying to get on that same schedule, so it's going to be even tighter when when I'm synced up on that same thing. So I totally get it. I definitely see the value in it, and I know why you're doing it. So I don't want to disrupt that. I think Ian and I were talking like it would probably be easier for us to get on early in the morning for you or for us, and when it's like later at night for you right before you go to sleep, like 7:30, 8:30, maybe like probably more like 7:30, 6:30, so that we can all talk, figure out what's going on, and then let you kind of go to bed and get on with the first part of our day. That's kind of seems to be the best way for us to connect at this point.
I agree, dude. I think that's we need to probably schedule something. If you can plan a day based on the time zones we are in, so it works for 3 or 4 of us from the ops team. We can actually start nailing the numbers, and then I can get all the numbers ready. It's going to take me probably 2-3 days, really, on hard work on that, and get something on going. And then once I have something to present, we actually can start designing something, more heads together, and then asking the questions, and I can actually swap around things and change. But until I have the numbers, it's going to be difficult for me, and that's the biggest reasons why I probably haven't done anything.
No, that makes sense. And to be honest, like while I know you've been extremely focused on the numbers, and it really comes down to being like my fault, to be honest, because what I realized is the amount of time that we're going to take to get the numbers down was probably the same expansive time that I had to get the budget together, right? And so what I did to kind of head that off is I pulled the main development resource and had him start on like the funding contract so we could get ahead of that. And that honestly took a lot of my focus. And then the other side of that was if we're going to have that contract, we also had to just essentially move Lynn out of the position of like leaning on him for marketing, because I'm not sure what's going on with him. He's kind of had a lot of family stuff over the last year, and even his call group has gone silent. So he must be going through something pretty significant to just kind of like step away. With that being said, like we needed to get marketing done. So I've pulled together like the marketing team, got them running. Like I was saying before, got all of the resources kind of scoped out, and we'll finish having like all of the YouTubers and everything scoped out by the end of the week. So I think this is the perfect time for us to like, let me talk to Ian, figure out like a consistent time every week when he can wake up, I can wake up, and we can be ready to sit down with you and Ken as well. And then that will kind of get us back on track in a nice spot, because we'll have like all of the marketing expenses that we didn't have. I have a spreadsheet where we can kind of estimate all of the pre-sale prices and amounts of tokens, and essentially like the token distribution and initial liquidity. And then also, we can finish out the numbers and get started on like what happens after we release this pre-sale contract. So that way, like anything that we encounter just becomes like an adjustment after that. And we're kind of like in sequence, getting the group going, getting more like interest moving. And at the same time, kind of finishing out the business development side of things that we need to finish out to kind of be successful in that next part.
I agree. I think it's a good way. And this is what I said as well previously, that for some strange reason everybody is going through something unaccidentally. When 2 months ago, we're looking back, there was loads of time. We all had everywhere, everything was happening, but then suddenly everything has just changed and everybody's taking the time away. On the numbers, yes, it's exciting. I'm exciting actually to create something like this because it's challenging. Understanding the process is a little bit differently from the normal business because we have normal business where sales come in, and based on the incoming sales, you can actually work out the numbers and you understand where it goes. So this is going to be a little bit different. So interesting. So I'm really actually excited for this project. So yes, better we can get the numbers in. Sooner we can get the numbers in, we can actually start designing something.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I definitely agree with you. I think that kind of getting our head around, like, the transaction volume, estimating the daily volume, and just how much TVL and all of those different things that's kind of really going to depend on is going to be an interesting like exercise. And once we get that, we're ready to go in terms of like making sure the tokens are right, making sure that this is the direction that we want to go with the token, and kind of figuring out exactly everything is good. Because then from there, like, we're really just going to be scoping out a budget, reuniting the website, and then kind of getting to work after launching the mechanics to get the funds. So I think we're in a good like smooth rollover from where we were. I like the fact that like right now we don't all have that much time because there's going to be a lot of obstacles that we need to overcome even when this is going smoothly. And I would think it's better to have a team that's kind of been battle tested, where we're not just running off of like the first wave of hopium, where everything is going to crash after, because everyone is kind of discouraged. Like, I think everyone has seen the ups and downs, seen the delays, seen the progress, seen us going back to the drawing board a few times, and the people who have stuck around and are attending the meetings or helping build kind of like are with that vision and with us for the long term. So, just us rekindling everything and getting things back together, I think is just going to continue to strengthen our team because we have a good set of guys who are committed to this. And I like that we've kind of had to jump through a few hoops and jump over a few hurdles, like I was saying, because that just makes us like, it makes the team a lot more dependable.
Absolutely, I can agree with you on this. Absolutely, nailing is important now. The time is crucial because I have a lot of on the business, and there's the public speaking and everything else comes with that. So, but yes, I do have a bit of spare time, and understanding what needs to be done, we can utilize this spare time really well.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm glad all that's going good for you too, man. I know you've been super busy and pushing yourself and knocking it out the park, man. So I'm glad to hear that that's rolling smoothly. And I think we're right there. I've been going as hard as I can to catalog all this information and kind of get everyone in the row on the marketing side. I'm excited because at this point we've scraped over like I think 250,000 to 500,000 unique leads. That we're going to basically reach out to. So I think by the time that we get to the main launch, we could be doing that in the millions, and everything would just be nice and scaled up. So this first, it's really like a test that we end up doing in the next couple of weeks. Is going to be really exciting to see like how much market penetration we get, how much attention we get, because then we'll basically just be ready to scale everything up and go at it.
Yes, man, I can hear you. This is definitely going to be test, and it's going to be like trial, error, and trial. So you have to do through errors. You have to understand how it works, what's missing. The same on the cash flow. We're going to be designing something that it's not been done, and not many does this. So we're going to be testing and trialing and understanding which way actually it works, which way it doesn't work, what is actually missing. So we're going to have a startup, we're going to have a template, but we all have to understand that this is not going to be definitely complete fully until we really design all of us after first trial, maybe a few months or so.
Definitely. I know it's going to be like a grind for us, and I do appreciate all you guys like taking the extra time out of your day and, you know, applying the spare time to it because you guys could be doing something totally different. So I'm excited to see where it takes us. And, you know, I'm kind of on the side of other stuff that I'm doing. I have people who are waiting for us to do what we're doing. I've told them, like, you know, hey, I'm working on something. If it pans out really nicely, you know, we have some people who are excited to kind of do some cool stuff for us. So, you know, hopefully we can get past those initial hurdles, get everything out there, get the token, you know, launched. And then from there, we're kind of in a good spot to build and start making those relationships more tangible. So, yeah, thank you again, guys. It's been awesome. And I can't wait to see exactly what we end up with at the end here.
Me either. Me also. Yes, I also really looking forward. So, how does I know that we haven't been catching up for quite a few weeks. You were off, and then I was in meetings and on the road, and so. Have you thought anything on in terms of us as a team making an investment into this shared address? So we did spoke about that if one of the team members like us are happy to help dealing with the costs, we can do an investment somewhere.
I have a few people who I know that, like, from pre-sale. We had a pre-sale survey like a while back, so I'll be reaching out to all those people about a pre-sale and kind of talking to them, and then talking to the team at the same time as that. And then for the other side of things, like for the preliminary test, honestly, I've saved up for exactly this purpose. So I'm going to kind of like be using those two ways to push things forward. And then also, I think that right now, because we don't have the most budget, one thing I'm excited about that we've spent a lot of, like, I guess, preliminary budget on before we got to this point is on tools, right? So we have tools that operate for essentially for free that do a lot of guerrilla marketing and, like, just like individual outreach. So between those two things, I think we have a good solidification of like how we're going to get funding in terms of like for the budget. And then also, this project isn't a vertical, like we're basically putting out a miner project that solves all of the problems of like miners being people stacked on top of each other, and a bunch of innovation on that side. So I think that the taxes from that are exactly like the taxes from that is exactly what I'm thinking is going to be probably the most lucrative revenue stream in terms of like us having a budget and being able to operate moving forward. And also the fact that we're going to be giving away like part of the airdrop wallet to people who are participating there. I think that it just gives us another unique distribution model. And that's what a lot of this project I feel like is about, is like the way that the tokens are distributed to the community is a lot different than in like a regular project. So I think between those two or three outlets that we're going to be able to nail things down nicely, honestly.
Okay, no, it sounds like it is on the control now. So I think that's all I really needed to know. Just because I'm happy to help on the journey and support it as well.
Without a doubt. I'm going to reach out to you, Ian, and take that offline with everyone individually. And so, you know, over the next few weeks, we'll talk about that, and then I will keep you guys in the loop as we're launching, because I think we're going to have to get everyone on board, and that's why I'm kind of making a push to keep everyone synced up at this point. So as that becomes more apparent, both from the new budget and where we're at on the launch, then I will, you know, we'll all have those conversations and figure out what works for everyone.
Perfect. I think it's like a good plan. Happy with this.
I'm glad, man. I'm glad. I always love your feedback. So, you know, I ran it by Ken, I ran it by Ian. Everyone seems to think like, hey, that seems like, you know, we might have a solid plan there. So I'm glad that everyone has kind of given the go ahead and the check off, because that's what's most important to me, us all putting our heads together. And yeah, I'm happy with it. I'm happy the way the team has come together and the marketing is looking. So I'm excited to just kind of push things out. I think we're testing all this week and doing audits. So once we get past this like really tedious and kind of, you know, mind-numbing development stage, we'll be at a good place in terms of releasing and doing AMAs. I've spoken with a lot of big AMA communities and stuff, so I think that will be our first foray into getting some more people in and being able to kind of have more flexibility on those sides as well.
Perfect. Exciting. We are actually slowly getting there. Yes, steady. With all the challenges we have, just getting into a nice place.
Yeah, agreed. I think we're pushing up and we're pushing through the reality of what it takes to build a project. A lot of people get lucky, and some are really pushing forward and expending a lot of effort. I think we're in like the latter, but it's important that we see the reality of what it takes to build this, because for us to build a token that's going to be successful is going to be more work, more budget. For us to build a full-on platform, of lending and all of these other different things, is going to be even more work and even more resources. But I think that taking a stepped approach at it and being intentional and us having a good team is really the thing that's going to carry us through. So again, guys, super grateful to have every single one of you guys attending and putting your spare time towards this, because it's I think it's a project we're all passionate about, and I couldn't thank you guys enough, man. Super grateful for all of you.
Well, man, I'm happy to be here. Really happy to be the community, and I can see you've done a massive amount of work, dude. I can only I know that how much time goes into this, and everything you do, everything you say, it's part of the different journey. And yeah, I'm happy to be in this place.
Without a doubt, man. And I'm learning so much from each and every one of you guys. It's been awesome. And I'm just trying to continue moving forward. I think that having a group of people who are driving you forward is definitely like the biggest driver here, because I want to make sure this is successful and we keep our promise to everyone. So again, thank you guys, and I won't keep you guys too long. I'm good if you guys are, and let's keep pushing, guys. I'll plan everything out for Thursday for departmental meetings, and we'll just keep reaching out to all you guys. And if y'all have any questions or concerns or comments, just hit me in the DM. I'm always here. I'm usually only about 4 or 5 hours behind my messages, so I'll get back to everybody.
Perfect. I'm happy with this. I think now I would say that yes, when you can organize them between us, and then we can work on the numbers. That would help us as well. So I think that's really good.
Awesome. I'll make that my first priority today. I'll get in contact with Ian. I know him and I are just like trying to nail down a time between us, because we're 2 hours apart. So what I'll do is we'll nail down a good time in the morning. I think he said 6:30 in the morning was good for him. 8:30 was good for me. And that tends to be a little bit better for you, like early in our morning. So I'll confirm that with him, and then we'll figure out the best day to do it with his work schedule, my work schedule, your work schedule. And I think we'll be good there. Ken, I will loop around, or it'll be in the operations group, but I'll make sure to loop around and find your time to make sure that works with you. And then we'll be good to go there. The other side of it is we're going to do the same things on departmental meetings, just pulling everybody in. Eventually, Ken, I'll have you kind of coordinating that between everybody weekly and making sure everyone's going to be there. And then I think we have the good beginnings of an operational structure. So, all right, guys, does anybody have anything else before we jump off here?
That's all, dude. I think it's look. And yes, that's it. You're
I'm finishing.
massive work here.
Are you on video?
No.
Yeah, I'm fine. I think I'm fine. Finding information. Good.
I was wondering if
Hold on. Sorry, guys, I was getting my charger, but okay, it seems like we're all good here. Kim, was that a question, or are you good? All right, guys. Thank you guys so much. I will post this recording in in the documents, and if you guys need me to upload any recordings from previous meetings, let me know. I will do that, and then I will see you guys on Thursday. I also, I record all the meetings, so you guys can jump in on recordings as well. And I also recorded all of the departmental meetings so we can all listen to those, and it's all open and stuff like that. So, you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you guys so much for taking the time out to talk with us. And yeah, I'm super excited to start launching and getting everything going, guys.
Okay, bro. See you on Thursday.
All right, Sam Master. I'll hit you.
Perfect, dude. I'll see you soon.
All right, Mr. Crypto. Have a great day, man.